What's the Not Your Finest Hour podcast? What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. One I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been told it's not for everyone. I don't know. It's just the general reviews I hear on it, but it has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard it's not for everyone.
I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really enjoyed that.
I'm not endorsing anything. From what I said, from what Caleb told me, he said don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun. But I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping notes that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff is absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression tonight. In fact, I feel very free. The Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
Welcome to the beginning of the podcast. If you are an American sponsor, we just want you to know right now that we're charging a 25% tariff on any sponsorships. We don't really give a fuck what Trump and Trudeau are working out. We are enforcing our own tariff. So just, I didn't even ask you guys about that, but if you guys aren't into us enforcing our own Not Our Finest Hour tariff, I'm the fuck out of here.
Does our merch get tariffed by us?
Yeah, if we tariff our merch, absolutely. Our merch must be tariffed.
That $1,000 oppression hat's now gone up to $1,250.
Ooh. Yeah, the impression hat is now $1,250. Absolutely, that's the truth. I am disappointed because Canada can't seem to produce its own individually wrapped pickles. I'm putting it out there. I am looking for a pickle brand. I want to launch my own purely Canadian pickle, individually wrapped pickles. All Canadian, all the time, individually wrapped. We do not need American individually wrapped pickles as a country. I don't think, anyways.
You can create Pickle King.
Pickle King. There you go. Consumables are the future. Yeah. If you want to make a lot of money, consumables are the future. Although Chad and I had a deep discussion about how I don't give a fuck about making a lot of money. So this week,
I still do.
You do. You really want to sell your company for $10 million, and
absolutely.
We concluded in our conversation that I couldn't give a fuck about selling my company ever.
What's your end game? There's no end game.
Death.
Is there death?
Death is my end game. I will work till I die, and then someone can use my excavator to dig my grave.
Is there any goals?
And then Kelly better fucking invoice the shit out of that. If I'm not there to fill out the ticket, someone better fucking step up and fill out the goddamn ticket. I look at that and I think that, like I said to you, I think that if you follow that program, your business, and you actually do it, everything that they say, and you really follow that program, you'll be able to sell your business for $10 million in 10 years.
Yikes. So,
but I will never follow the program because I'm too emotionally attached to my stuff. I'm too emotionally attached to my people, and I couldn't give a fuck about having a lot of money. And that's just me. And that doesn't make someone saying they want to sell their company for, I think wanting to sell your company for $10 million and caring deeply about getting a lot of money, I think that's a very admirable trait. I wish I had it. I just don't. I wish I did.
First off, so let's backtrack a second. I watched that, what would you call it? The Leanscaper tutorial? What would it be?
Webinar, they call it? Webinar series? Yeah.
So I took the free webinar or whatever, sat through it for about 2.5 hours because I can't sit and listen for 3 hours. Like I just can't. And maybe that's where I'm going to drop off because maybe I'm not smart enough for this whole thing, but I can't sit and listen to someone talk through a computer screen for 3 hours straight unless I'm engaged to the point where we're talking back and forth and we have a discussion,
Is this
right?
why you zone out all the time when we're doing this?
Uh, that's why I try and get little bits in here and there, so I can engage, right? But
I think it is one on one more so once you sign up.
um,
Those are just like free things that they're doing to get interest into the program.
yeah. So I may not be smart enough for the program, first off, because they were going through a lot of stuff that I didn't care much about. I understood most of it, but I don't know if I cared about a lot of it. But maybe I have to start caring about it if this is what we're going to do, if this is the
That
direction that we're going to take the business in.
that's my problem at 50. At how old are you?
38.
At 38, I might have been able to get over the hump of me not being interested in it and still understanding that it has to happen if I want to get to the end goal and I need to do these things. But at essentially in my 52nd year of life, I know that I just don't give a fuck and I will never give a fuck and no one can ever make me give a fuck. And it just is what it is. And I need to just ride it out for the next 8 to 10 years and then die.
I think you have more than 8 or 10 years to go.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm happy with your optimism. I appreciate that. I appreciate your eternal optimism, but I think you haven't spent enough time with me.
So you're not going to
But
be around to see me sell my company for $10 million?
I want to be
Tell
around to
me.
see my daughter get married. That's what I want to be around for.
Does she know this?
She knows, yeah. Well, or whatever happens at to the people in her generation,
Will
whether
you
they
be
get
around
married.
when we get our first sponsor?
I think your guys' chances of getting a sponsor go up insanely when I'm not around.
No.
You guys are sponsorable guys. I'm not. Well proven. I can't even get someone to sponsor my fucking pickle venture. Like, come on. Fucking crazy talk.
Chad, why don't you hire somebody that's interested in those things and you take care of operations?
Um,
Mm.
I mean, I guess I could, right? Maybe that's something that they're going to teach you in the course.
Here's the thing. Does the end game that they're like that program has a very specific end game to it, right? Are you actually interested in the end game? Because that's the core of it. Like when I think that program has smart people. I think it's run by a smart guy. I think there's a lot of great information. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in that program. I just don't give a shit about the end game. And that's my like for me to do everything that they need to do and I don't fucking care about selling my business. I don't care about walking away from it. I don't care like
I need to
I
hear from the
I
horse.
was
I
I
need,
was sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm walking all over what you're trying to say. Go ahead.
No,
I'll,
no, you're not. I was just all I was gonna say was this week I had to fix Cody's truck, and when I was climbing on it to try and like climb on the hook and fix a fucking hook, because you'll be soon aware of how much effort time it takes to fix hook trucks constantly, no matter how old they are. And I was, anyways, when I was doing that, and I was climbing on the truck, and I'm not very balanced, and my one leg is obviously very bad. Cody said, don't fall off the truck. And I said, well, if I fall and die, you tell Kelly that I gave you the truck so you could keep making a living because this one's paid for so you can have it. And that's a better end game for me in my mind.
oh, that's
Like
admirable.
I just I I don't know what I'm like, whatever. Like I don't sorry, what are you to get back to the point of it, are you actually interested in the end game? Is that something that you're saying, hey, if I can exit this business when I'm 48 years old and sell it for $10 million, I am happy with life. I will take my 10 million and I'll find some other way to fill my time than landscaping.
I want to hear those words direct from the man in charge, right? I need to know that that's what his program is meant to do because I was asking these questions and stuff, and they'll sort of like glance through them because they got a lot of shit to cover. I need them to say, if you follow this program in 10 years, you should be able to sell your business for X amount of dollars. right? Right now, this is all hearsay. Like I believe you when you say it, but I need to hear it from them, and I need to hear
Well,
the
yeah,
way the plan is put out, right? Before I jump in the top of this funnel.
but
Oh,
does
you're in the
if
top.
you're in the top.
Well, I'm circling, but I'm not coming down yet, you know?
You're in like that big water slide that drops you out like a toilet. They call it the
Yeah,
toilet bowl.
I'm
You're
in the
like,
top of the toilet bowl. I'm not flushed down yet.
but the question is, you still didn't like. I understand what you said in that, but you never answered the question. At 48, if you can exit your business at $10 million, does that interest you? Does that something you want with your life?
Um, yeah, doesn't mean I won't be involved in the landscape trade somehow, but with $10 million, I can do something different and still be around.
See, I think that another one of my problems is I have no interest in ever doing anything different. I've never done anything if different my whole life, except when I worked at Confirm, which was still involved, and I hated that. So my life experiences when I'm doing something different, I'm really unhappy.
Mm, I think there's a lot of hobbies you can pick up
I
with
hate
$10 million
hobbies.
dollars in
I
the bank.
fucking hate hobbies.
Well, landscaping is a hobby to me, right? It's my job, but it's also a hobby, right? So with $10 million dollars in the bank, you live off the interest and you can maybe set up your favorite worker doing a little excavation business or something like that, and you help them out for a little bit.
If you sell, they might have you sign a non-compete that you can't do that.
That's fine. They don't have to know, or like it can be something.
God,
To
They
me, I
don't
have
have
$10
to.
million dollars. I'll fight back. You know.
I
No,
but
it's
then
always
then you're
something.
not doing it for a reason. Like I get up every day
You
because
get
there's a
$10
reason
million
to get up.
dollars.
No, I'm saying if I had $10 million, I probably wouldn't want to be in the excavating business because what would be the fucking point?
Well,
No matter what money you made, it would be irrelevant to the $10 million you had.
yeah, I'd
There's like
probably.
no fucking reason to wake up.
Oh, there's a reason to wake up. Every day you can do it, whatever you want.
I think there's a reason for you to wake up every morning, and I 100% agree with you. But for me as a person, no reason to wake up.
Yeah.
I don't like doing anything other than going to work. I don't do it. I used to play hockey 3 nights a week before the pandemic, and I really like doing that. And I like watching my kid play soccer, and I like watching my kid play like drums in his band, and I like spending time with my wife. But like I don't know. Like other than getting up and going to work, I don't really do anything. Like this morning, I got up at 3:30 so I could go to work, and then I worked all day, and then I'm fucking doing this with you guys, and then I'm going back to work after 9 o'clock.
Somebody asked me recently, what are my hobbies? And I just said, well, how to hardscape. And they said, well, that's work. What do you do outside of landscaping and how to hardscape? That's all I do. I don't have hobbies.
Yeah, I don't. I used to play hockey 3 nights a week,
Yeah, I used to play goalie too.
and I loved it. But then the pandemic came, and then my hip got so bad I can barely walk, and so the I just never played anymore. And then I also at one point in my life I liked going to the gym, but that seems like such a huge fucking undertaking now. It just seems like a lot to like get up, go to the gym, lift weights. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal. I I don't know. Like I think it's good to have. I think it's good to want to have an end game. I just no. I'll
So,
never. I wish I was a better. I wish I was a better person who could do the things that needed to be done for that have that end game. But I'm just not good enough for it.
You need
That's
a
okay.
growth mindset.
I'm uh I'm a little torn here. We're talking about this end game, the sellout, whatever it is, the $10 million pot of gold rainbow at the end, right? If you're gonna tell me that I'm gonna have 10 miserable years in business to get there, I'm out. I don't want to do it, right? I'd rather have 20 more years in business, 30 more years in business, things going the way they're going, and for the most part enjoying every day, then I would have 10 miserable years and then an exit strategy. I don't need to sell it, but if every year gets better and easier and we keep things under control, then after 10 years we can exit. Sure, sounds great to me. But what is it going to cost me along the way? That's what I need to.
Probably a lot of long-term relationships you have with your current staff.
Um, do you, is there a way that I can get them on board?
Maybe,
Maybe
maybe
there
they'll
is.
all jump on board. There
Yeah.
absolutely could be. Yeah, there absolutely could be. I know my long-term staff will not get on board. They don't like it if I move the clipboard in the barn.
Are they willing to let you move the clipboard for more money?
No, I don't think that's it. Like, they all, obviously everyone wants some more money, but are they willing? There's a million things they could do to get more money working at Paper King, and they all choose not to do it.
Yeah, I can see
Like
that.
they already make those, like, there's a million things if they wanted to make more money that they could all do to make more money, but all of them are not willing to do those things as it stands now. Like, take on more responsibility, upgrade their license, learn how to do different things. A lot of them are de-evolving, to be perfectly honest, and doing less. Like
We
they are not in the cocoon from the caterpillar. They are from the butterfly going back to the fucking caterpillar. Because they're all getting older and they're tired and they're hurt and they're sore. And I get it. I'm tired and hurt and sore too. I'm not the same person I was 6 years ago. I struggle more every day. This is what it is. I'm old. I haven't been kind to myself. Like, so I don't know. My people won't. Maybe yours, but your people are younger, and maybe they would bite on.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot, right? What do I have to lose? They don't like it,
Like,
they fight
you
back.
don't, you don't, you don't think you could.
Miserable.
You do it for 2 years. You find out that you're miserable and you don't like it. You don't think you can revert back to the way it is.
I'm sure it's a fight not to revert back to the way it is.
That's,
It'll,
I think, where you have to.
it'll
People
be a
who aren't on a hard buy-in. I think that's the problem with culture shift. Anyone who's not in a hard buy-in can sink the culture shift in a heartbeat.
Just gotta switch the carrot.
Like, I've been watching
Switch the
Brian Fullerton's videos, right?
Yep.
He's obviously just signed up for LMN. He's obviously got some kind of deal with them, and he's posting like these things where it's showing how they electronically tracked every snow site and how much time they were there. And anyways, he's going through this thing, right? And I'm like, man, that's pretty fucking cool. That's doing that. He's got great invoicing. He's got this stuff. It's pretty cool. Except that I can't get my people to fill out an invoice book at the end of the day. I usually end up doing a lot of the invoicing for the trucks because someone forgot or they don't know, and I have to literally put in, please make sure we invoice this item. This has to be invoiced. I'm going to forget it. Like, I'm like, I never mind checking in on this thing and reporting site conditions and taking photographs. Like, none of that shit's gonna I can't get them to fill out a fucking invoice book. Like, it just, I think, how much of that shit does your program do, Mike? A lot? Your software.
For tracking like snow sites, nothing.
No, I'm talking about like hardscape sites. Like, that's just like, I was just using that as an example of tracking something. Like, does yours, like, if my people are logged on your app,
Yeah.
like, they can track production rate that day and all this different, how many square feet they laid and all this stuff.
Yeah, you can clock in and out of production rates and track that.
Yeah, I can't get them to come to the fucking yard. So I'm just like exaggerating that point, but I look at it and I'm like, I think all that stuff is great. I think all that stuff is good. I think that just if one person doesn't buy in out of that, all the people that you have working for you, that person has to be let go immediately. Because if that person doesn't buy in and you let them get away with it, it'll bleed to the second person who's kind of half buying in, doing it because they think it's morally right because their boss asked them to. But if they see the guy who's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm not doing it, they're gonna probably slowly go that way, and then it'll just the whole thing collapses. So I just look at the people who currently work at our business and I say, I'm not going to fire these people.
They
So
bought into the Connect Team app though, right? Was that pushback at all, or was that pretty good?
no. Uh yeah, there was a little bit of pushback, but they all got on there.
Yeah.
Although one of them currently doesn't know how lost his cell phone, doesn't have know how to get into his Gmail, doesn't know how to make a new Gmail, and doesn't have any access to the app. And so like, yeah, I think for a lot of them though, they do it because it's easier to clock in and out once they figure out how to do it. It's physically easier than a time card, and they don't have to turn it in every week. So I think that there is some buy-in on that because it's physically easier. But if I told them, listen, I need to collect production data so I can create a spreadsheet to fucking figure out production rates for next season when we're bidding jobs, they would fucking laugh.
Yeah. What do you do? I don't know. We're gonna maybe we won't even try it. We have a call with Aaron on Friday. We'll talk about it a little bit, and if all goes well, we'll look at the next step. One thing I won't do, I'm not getting LMN. Not doing that. I'll get the How to Hardscape headquarters software, but I won't do LMN. Um, People have asked me, like, what do you use? I'm like, nothing right now. Like, how do you know everything? Like, it's in my head. It just works.
But
It
that's
helps.
not but that's not sellable.
I know it's not sellable, right?
It works. It works for me too. We like very similar. It works,
It
but
works.
it's not sellable.
Yeah, I know. So
I
either we
think
make it
one of
sellable
the
or we keep
inherent
it the way it is. Go ahead.
one of the my biggest inherent problems with all of it is it's mine, and I don't want someone else to own it.
I could care less. Show me the money, man. I'll walk tomorrow.
But like you, I mean, I think we've established long ago on this podcast that you care a lot more about money than I do.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't mean that in a
I'm a
bad way.
terrible person.
I'm not saying it's bad. Like caring about having a lot of money isn't bad, man. I have friends that have goals of making $100 million that are like really good friends of mine that we have deep conversations, and they are trying to propel their life to make $100 million, and they're making the moves to get to $100 million. We're good friends. He knows that I don't give a shit about $100 million. One of my best friends. I don't think it's bad to want a lot of money. There's nothing evil about you saying I want to sell my company and I couldn't give a fuck who owns NDL. That's not an evil statement. That's just the truth. My truth is it's more important for me to own Paver King than to have $10 million because Paver King is mine and I created it. I care more about that than $10 million. But that you could look at me like I'm a fucking idiot and say, well, you would get $10 million. Why the fuck do you care about who owns Paver King? And I think you're probably right.
I think it boils down to the same thing for both of us is peace of mind. You take peace of mind in owning Paver King, and I take peace of mind in having boatloads of money. Right?
True. Yeah,
That's
I would agree with that. Like it's not, I don't think there's any peace of mind in owning Paver King, to be
uh,
fair. I think it's a tumultuous experience that has incredible highs 1 hour and incredible lows the next. Like I don't think it's good for my health. I don't think it's good for my mental health. I don't think there's anything about it that provides any kind of security. It's probably the least secure I've ever been in my whole life. Like I don't it's
but
to
it's
me
your chaos, I guess, right? Like it's your
it's just it's mine.
yeah.
I made it and I don't want someone else to have it. And I think that's okay.
Of course it is. It's your business.
Yeah, I don't think it's
You're
bad.
not trading.
Likewise, I don't think it's bad to want $10 million. I don't think that's bad either. Or $5 million or $6 million. I don't think either of them are bad. They're just different. That just For me, this isn't, I think for me and the staff that works with us, this isn't always about the money. It's about, and it because it's my generation is older and I come from a different place. It's to me, this has always been a lifestyle. This isn't about the money. It's about the lifestyle. If all I cared about was money, I probably would have stayed at Conperm. Like that was a good job. It paid pretty good there. Like it, I think that, and if I cared about security and benefits and all this other, but for me, it's the life. It's about like, I think that's why I've always been very anti software, anti things like Leanscaper, and because I just feel like it's the Walmartification of a lifestyle, and they're deleting the lifestyle from it. They're turning it into every other fucking job on the planet, where everything is a system and everyone wears a uniform and everyone reports and clocks in at the same time, and it's becoming a General Motors factory. It's just got a landscaping thing on the door, but it's a factory. And I struggle with that as a person because for me, this is about like when I came up, it was it's a lifestyle. It's part of who I am as a person. It's not just a job. And I think that what they're like what all this is doing, which is the evolution of every business has this evolution and it's not bad. It's just they're creating this into being a career, not a lifestyle. It becomes a job. Like it's a job and then it turns into a career, but it's not a lifestyle. But when I came up doing this when I was a young kid, like guys were like going in the forest and pulling their weed plants down and drying their weed on the tractor exhaust so they could have a joint at break. Like that's stuff that happened. Like that's a lifestyle. That's throwing donuts at people on the 401 who cut you off. And like it's just I came up at a different time, and it's just for me but the Walmartification of any business, especially businesses that turn huge dollars, that has to come. It's part of the evolution.
You got a lot of nostalgia for your formative years as a landscaper, and I do too, right? But you're probably not going to get those back. You can't throw donuts at people on the
No,
401 now.
people record you now.
Yeah. So you can't do those things. So it's already not the same. I'm just going to finish it off. The
It's the
kids
same for
coming
me
up,
though.
well, is
Like
it?
I get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Do
I
you dry your feet on the
I was at
tractor?
work.
Like,
I was at No, I never did that. I don't smoke weed ever. Um, I'm not a drug person. I don't like drugs or alcohol. I don't like anything that can put my mind off kilter because I have a lot of really violent tendencies. So I try to keep my mind straight. No, I'm being dead, like totally serious. I'm an extremely violent person,
you
and
know,
so
you,
I try to not do anything that could cloud my mind and cloud my judgment because in my experience when I was in my youth, when I did cloud my mind and cloud my judgment, it wasn't good for anyone that was around me. So I stopped drinking like anything really at like 19, 18, and I never did any drugs. So, anyways, it's not my. I was just saying it's part of a lifestyle. So I never dried weed on the side of the track. I was there when it happened,
oh,
but I
I was
didn't.
there when it
I didn't.
happened.
I didn't partake in the drying of the weed on the tractor. Like, I thought it was awesome that our job was that close to the guy's plantation of weed. Like he didn't bring it from home. He went into the forest and harvested that shit and then dried it on the tractor. Like he didn't bring it in a baggie, man. He was literally growing it on the job site because he knew we were going to be there for months and months. So you might as well just grow some weed on the job.
My guys
I
grow it at the yard on top of my dead dog that we buried this spring.
Perfect.
Yeah,
You couldn't ask for anything better than that.
yeah, yeah.
I I agree with you. I'm a dinosaur, and a lot of what was a lifestyle will die with me, and it will never be the same. And that's what happens to everybody. That's what happens with every job, happens to every person, it happens to everyone who does everything. That life passes you by. The things that are normal for my daughter when she's my age, she's going to look at her kids and be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah. Yep.
And your parents looked at you saying, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like if you think about your parents, and I don't know them at all, so this could be you could, but if you think about your parents and the way they grew up, and then think about the amount of tattoos that you have on your body,
They would never.
and And think about what it would have been for them to do that. But for you, it's fairly, you just got back from vacation. You have a lot of tattoos. Did anyone treat you differently because you have a lot of tattoos?
No,
No.
not
But if
anymore.
in your parents' day at your age, if they had showed up in Costa Rica covered in that many tattoos, guaranteed they're treated differently.
Yeah.
It's just a different generational thing. It just is what it is. And I I wish I was a person that could adapt.
Well, maybe I'm not, right? Because my favorite crews to work around are the old construction guys. No safety, anything. They have no tops on and their pants are older than I am. And like those are my favorite people to be around,
Mm,
but there has to be some evolution here because the entire trade is going to pass us by and we're going to be not able to compete if we don't evolve a little bit.
I
Do you
think
think
that's
my
true too.
competition is walking around with everything in their brain, or do you think they have budgets and plans of action and mission statements and goals for the year?
Uh, I think not all residentially, like your
No,
residential
commercially.
competition, commercial. I think that that's coming to fruition faster than you and I would, either of us would like.
Yeah.
I don't think that everybody's there yet, maybe 25, 30%, but I feel like that in that space that we there, I feel like that is moving very quickly towards that.
Yeah. I got
And
to get on board.
system, systems, uniforms, Walmartification, team meetings, dances in the morning, stretching exercises, whatever, like whatever Walmart and Home Depot do, it's coming to commercial landscaping faster than residential. Residential will hang on longer because it's always going to have
You
the
can
guy with
still,
a wheelbarrow and the fucking like, you
yeah,
know,
you can be a little bit of a cowboy in residential landscape, but the
yes.
time is ending for being a cowboy in commercial landscape.
Like, prime example is all of our people are signed up for working at Heights in March. They all have to go take the course.
Yeah.
Because we won't get on sites without working at Heights.
Yeah.
Like, and then we have to start preparing all their safety stuff and all that. Like, if we don't, if if we didn't get on board with that, we wouldn't get any work
Yep.
commercially.
Yep.
So we have to get on board with it. Same, like I know out by you guys, the hard hat thing and the pants is a little bit more lax because you're outside of the
No time.
greater greater Toronto area. Oh, I don't, yeah. So like here it's hard hats, pants, safety vests, like every day.
Yeah.
To the point where like I have, a client calling me saying, "Hey, your guys aren't wearing their hard hats in your fucking video that you posted. Don't do that again."
Yeah.
But they're like working in a fucking cemetery, like by themselves with a bunch of dead people.
Yeah.
But I get it. I
Yeah.
get what I don't think it was an inappropriate phone call at all. It was an appropriate phone call. It made sense.
Yeah.
It's just,
There's
you
eyes
know, the
everywhere now.
the guys judged that situation poorly. I think they should have done better. Our guys. And our guys do buy into some things. I just don't see them. And maybe I'm wrong. The other thing too is like maybe I'm wrong about all the people. Maybe they would, because Mike made a great point that they all bought into the Connect Team app. Maybe they would all buy in. Maybe if I just stressed to them how important it was and that we need to remain competitive. And I think that though a lot of them just look at me and go, "Well, you always figure it out."
Yeah. And they're lucky that you figure it out with them as opposed to without them.
I feel pretty lucky to have them all.
It's a two-way street,
I
but
agree.
everyone is
I
replaceable.
I think it's a two-way street. I think they're lucky to end up with Kelly and I think that we're lucky to have them too. I think it's a symbiotic relationship. I don't think it's super one-sided either way. Um,
Yeah.
and some people fit in. Like we hired a new staff member this year, and he fits into our culture great. He did an amazing job. Um, you know, I so this happened to me today. So one of the things I did today was we had a huge meeting with our bank, which obviously I don't like those kind of things at all. But Kelly said I had to go, and I want to not live in a parking lot, so I went. Um, and I'm at the meeting, and Kelly and our bank representative, commercial bank representative guy, are going back and forth about all these things, and they're talking, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this. I don't even understand the language that they're talking. Like, I don't even like. And we're in the process of um, figuring out whether or not we want to buy a third triaxle. Do we want a new one? Do we want a used one? What's the plan with it? And he's, helping us with it and breaking down some numbers on payments and expected earnings. And again, I'm somewhat lost because I'm like, this is a good idea. He's like, why? And I'm like, it's a good idea, man. Um, and during all of this, I'm sitting at the table and I'm looking across at the guy and I say to myself, you know what? Last week, when that driver said to me, I don't know how to run a business, he's right. And I probably should call him in the spring because he was right. I don't know how to run a business. I know how to be the operations manager at a landscaping company. I know how to logistically book trucks, but I don't know fuck all about running a business because the stuff that's happening in this bank, this is running a business. This is business shit. This is the business. This is the running of the business. This is the stuff that runs the business. The other jobs I'm good at. I'm good at I'm a good operations manager. I'm good at booking the trucks. Like, but those things aren't running a business. You could hire and I'm sitting there and I was like, man, maybe I should give that guy a fucking second chance because he was right.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of punishing him for being right. Maybe it's not fair to that guy.
No, you're
But then I
probably
realized I
attitude.
didn't really like that fucking guy anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
Joke. We did have a meeting. You know what my favorite thing about running a landscape construction business is though? We're at the bank, we're talking about sales, um, expected sales for this year, signed projects. They want this is information banks want when you're dealing with them on a regular basis, I guess. And the whole time I'm looking at my watch and I'm going, man, we're talking about millions of dollars here in this bank meeting, essentially, right? And I'm looking at my watch going, fuck, dude, I got to get to the yard and hand shovel those two big trailers off. It's like that's what I love about landscape construction. I'm like, yeah, man, like I listen, I know that this like millions of dollars in this business deal and stuff is important to you, but what's important to me is getting back to the yard and shoveling that snow off the two big tag floats before it freezes. That's what I need to do here, man. Like we gotta wrap this shit up here, man. I gotta get to the yard and get my plastic snow shovel and shovel these trailers off, man. Like this is what I gotta get done today. And that's why and as I was thinking that, I'm like, this is why I will never sell this company for any amount of money. Because this is important stuff that's happening here in this bank meeting. Really important stuff that I should be really paying attention to. And all I'm worried about is the snow going to freeze on the 30-ton float because Andrew needs it tomorrow.
You need a tilt rotator with a broom.
Yeah. Well, the floats are tight. Yeah, part of it would work. That's not a bad idea. Or I could just get a broom and just know how to run an excavator, sweep it off. Like
Whatever.
you could get a broom attachment without a tilt rotator, and if you're good at an excavator, you can still sweep the ground. There's
Yeah,
no requirement of having a tilt rotator. It's just if you're a shitty operator, you need one of those to be able to sweep the ground.
that's how it goes. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's exactly.
You don't think you can sweep the ground with a fucking regular?
Oh no, you can. I've done it for years.
See?
Clean the road with a regular excavator, yeah. But now I don't
Okay.
have to.
Now you have the people
Or the tilt rotator.
or the tilt rotator. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the experience at the bank today was like disturbing, and I was like,
So what's the goal? Like, are you getting a new truck or are you?
I don't know. Whatever. I gotta shovel the float off, man. I told you. I got bigger
Finish
problems
the
going on in
meeting.
my life. Some guy's like crazy 800 horsepower Dodge Challenger was stuck in the middle of the yard with summer tires on it, right in front of the way of the floats. So I stopped focusing on building the business and started focusing on how are we going to get this fucking car out of here, because every time you touch one of those cars, it's all just plastic. You can't push on the car. And we're trying to, like, Andrew and I are just trying to get it out of the way. I'm like, I don't even need to drive this fucking thing anywhere. But every time and it's standard, so every time you lift the clutch, the tires just start squealing because it's on ice. Car wouldn't move. I'm like, who drives this thing in fucking February? What the fuck, man? Why are you driving this car? Like, and it's in the way of our trip. Because I called the guy who owns the yard and said, yo, bro, like, there's 50 trucks parked in our yard. 45 of them never move. They're all in some state of disrepair, mid restoration. There's only like 5 things that you can't park in front of at our yard. And this dude chose to park right in front of one of those 5 things. And he's like, well, the car's stuck. Like, it's just sitting there. It's like, it's literally just sitting on the snow. Like, there's no snow around it. I plowed all the snow yesterday. He's like, yeah, it's just stuck on the ice. Like, the fuck?
Yeah.
So I dug out all the ice and we got it to move. And then it drives good in reverse because it's like a front wheel drive car.
Hmm.
So we reversed it out of our way and then left it for the guy who owns it and said, okay, dude, this is your fucking problem now, not ours. We are moving on from the shit. But that's like, I don't know I don't know. Honestly, like the banker guy made a good point. Because he said, what are your other options? And I said, I've been like the used market in triaxles is like plummeting. Like, they're fucking worthless now. I was like looking at some trucks and I was like, man, like, I don't want to buy a brand new one for 300 grand when the market for used ones is like, they're fucking basically worthless compared to a year ago. Like, even the dealership, I priced out the T880 when we bought Christie's truck and they wanted 345 for it. I asked the guy for a quote. He quoted me 304.
Oh.
The dealership dropped the price of the truck $41,000 on a brand new truck.
Wow.
So you know that, like, buying a brand new triaxle right now is not a good idea because the depreciate you're just going to get walloped on the fucking depreciation, right? So I was like, new one. I said to him, I don't know. I was thinking about getting a used one. He's like, well, how much is a used one? I said, I don't know. Like, I would expect to spend some to get a good one to spend somewhere between 100 and 150,000 to get a good used, like a really solid used triaxle. He's like, well, that's a good idea. I said, oh, okay, bank guy. Thanks, man. He's like, because then if your idea for this truck works, you could buy another one and still be under your budget. I was like, and that's why you're a bank guy. I didn't think about that. I'm so focused on the one, but you're a bank guy with a growth mindset. So you're like, yeah, dude, get one. When that works, get another one and you'll still be under your budget of a brand new one. And I'm like, fucking bank dude, motherfucker with your smarty pants things. What?
With his soft hands, he's rubbing them together. He's got you now.
Soft hands and his good ideas, fucking bank guy. So I personally am leaning towards getting a used truck. I don't want a new one. I just think the bottom's going to drop out of it, and I don't want to have like be up. We're not upside down in Christie's truck because we got such a good deal on it, but it would be really fucking easy to be upside down in a brand new truck. So a triaxle. Like, I know you're buying a brand new truck, but hook trucks are different.
Well, I would have no intentions of selling this truck for,
Yeah, you still don't want to be upside down in anything, but
I don't know, but
yeah. But a hook truck is a different thing because there's so few of them and they're so specific. It's
yeah.
totally different. Triaxles, they're a dime a dozen. There's hundreds of thousands of them, right? Like,
Jack was
so
telling me today, he's like, you should get into trucking. Like, I don't know if I can make the numbers work. Like, I just don't know. Could we put it on with like GIP? I know some foremen and stuff who would probably take the truck and everything, but it's always scary. Like, what if your truck breaks down and then you don't have the truck for them? Then they call someone else and don't call you back. Then you're stuck with
that's
this
what
truck.
happens. That's what happens when you have me and you had a text message chain about this.
Yeah,
Hardest thing you'll do in your life is have one.
yeah, yeah.
It's the absolute hardest thing you can ever do is have one. It's way easier to have more. It's one of the reasons why we have so many brokers. Like, I had client call me. Both of our Traxels are booked tomorrow. I had someone call me at 3:30 in the afternoon and say I have to have a truck tomorrow. I said, oh, okay. So I just went down the list of brokers till someone answered their fucking phone or their truck wasn't broken and said, I need you to go do this. And he said, okay, great. And he's excited and pumped to go do it.
Yeah. We
Right.
were supposed to move snow with both of our tandems a couple days last week. Was today too? Yeah, it was last week or this weekend. And hop in the Cummins tandem, the box won't go up. Hop in the DT tandem, fucking dead. Switch the batteries on that. Get it running. Air leak. Everything is fucking leaking all the time. No pressure. Fuck. Call the guy. I guess we can't move snow. He's like, I thought you had two trucks. I said, yeah, and both of them are fucked. So
What was the PTO fucked in the Cummins truck?
the there was an air leak that did something to the actuator on the box. That was fucked too. So and then the truck shop called me today and they said, "Oh, we safetied your truck." Like, fuck, I was selling that truck. They're like, "Oh, good thing it didn't need much for safety." Okay, great. Whatever. Sell it safetied now.
I think that's a good selling feature if it didn't cost you a lot.
No.
I'd
No,
be way more likely to consider a truck that had recently been safetied.
they said it was so easy to safety because you safetied it last year and you only put a couple thousand kilometers on it. I said, yeah, because the box hasn't fucking gone up and down since last year. They're like, oh, yeah, good thing you brought it in. Yeah, you're right.
So why didn't you bring it in when the box broke originally?
Because it was an intermittent problem. And sometimes it would go up and sometimes it wouldn't.
Mm,
So
that's hard to fix.
yeah, we were just getting by, and then apparently they've got it figured out now. So
We had my bin truck has an intermittent starting issue, but Brad's pretty sure it's because water was pouring in from where the horns are on the roof and through the
mm,
windshield, then filling the fuse box because Peterbilt fuse boxes are right on the floor, filling it with water and then freezing. So he brought it in his shop and heated it all and then sealed it all, and so far so good. I say that, but you never know. Every day
never,
brings a new adventure.
that's trucking. If there's
I did
anything, go
One
ahead.
of my favorite things that happened to me this week was I looked at the yellow sticker on my pickup just out of curiosity. I was like, oh, everything we own is out of cert on February 28th. Look at perfect.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Like,
gonna be an expensive month.
I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Christie's truck because we bought it in July is good till July, so it's fine. The four big trucks I care about certifying. The pickups don't tow anything this time of year anyway, so I couldn't give a shit. They're not using the trailers. They're not. One of them's permanently sitting in the yard, and the other one goes out if we're doing something like hauling the hay. And mine doesn't really do anything, so I'm like, I don't give a fuck about these. We can deal with this in March, these things in March, but these other four trucks need to go in. So hopefully they're not. Brad does a good job maintaining them, so I don't think. And they all have had a lot of like the two the two older bin trucks have both had. I think we spent like almost 20 grand a truck on them this year. So
Hmm.
they have new brakes, new tires, and a whole bunch of new air tank, a whole bunch of shit. We know that Cody's has great front springs, so we know that won't be a fucking issue. Um, but yeah, I think it'll probably be an expensive month. If we got away with 2,500 a truck, I'd be really fucking happy.
Yeah, we'll see what ours come in at. It's almost time. We're gonna start taking them in next week. And
Mm.
them safety one by one, and then get the trailers in one by one. The hydro seeder needs to go get a new alternator because we've been boosting it all season last year for no fucking reason. Like we have a multi-million-dollar landscape company and we're boosting shit in the mornings. Ridiculous. No need for it.
Is it the battery or the alternator?
It's the alternator because it'll run when it's boosted. But so anyway, the four new batteries we put in the Freightliner are completely dead. So I got to charge those. Hopefully they didn't freeze. Then we got to get the tank off the Freightliner and bring it to Ottawa so that they can put it on an A-frame so that we can put that on the hook lift truck when it comes. How am I supposed to move the bins? Do they put bins in bins? Can you do that to transport
We
them?
we picked them up on our trailer. Yeah, well they can. One time Cody went to pick up bins. They flipped the bins standing up inside the other bin, so you
Yeah,
could do two bins on the truck at once.
yeah,
But the truck was 13.7 doing that, which isn't good. She had to be pretty conscious of where she was driving.
yeah,
Um, and then another time, I have a in our yard. The guy has a bunch of like flat trailers, so I just said to him, "Do you want to take your truck up?" And I don't know, whatever he charged me, and he picked up three bins at once.
yeah,
Another
maybe
time,
that's it.
I just
Yeah,
hired
'cause
him and said,
I'll
"Go up
have
and get them."
I'll have 4 bins to come home with. Well, 3 bins and a water tank to come home with. So, and then I gotta have space to put them. So we gotta do some yard renos there. And we're getting a new, I don't know, like a covered structure at the yard. That's starting as soon as permits are approved. So it's gonna be a busy year.
You haven't even
Looking
done
at,
any work for anybody else.
yeah, looking at the work we have, we got enough to get us to, nope, like I got 2 residential, that's it. Rest is commercial. So I'm gonna have to hit in sales mode.
I have one residential job to do.
Yeah.
I have no residential leads.
When's the time, Mike, to do marketing?
Uh, just depends when the snow starts to melt. Late March, early February, or early April.
April, that late,
Yeah.
eh? I reached out to my retailers. They're like, "Oh, people are already booking orders." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
But you want
Really?
to get your ads ready for then,
Hmm. Yeah.
if that's the way you're going about it.
Well, I got to do something.
I've had a few good leads come through this winter, just based on referrals and repeat customers, which is nice.
Yeah, those are always the best ones.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The two that I have on deck are pool surrounds. We've done more pool surrounds than anything. It's we hardly ever do anything but that, it seems now. But yeah.
Yeah, we had to do a rundown of all the work we had sold for the bank.
Oh, they like does that help?
Yeah, it helped with the bank, I think, having a bunch of signed work, contractual work, projects that we'd already started that we needed to work on. I think that definitely helped with the bank. I think
They
that
asked me to see that too. And then I'm like, "Do you want to see how much money we're owed?" They're like, "Yeah, that would be great." So you just print them on a paper that of all your accounts receivable and stuff.
Oh, we did that too. That happened.
You could be completely bullshitting it, but here it is.
True.
I'm sure lots of people have done that in the past.
Isn't that fraud?
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
saying
for
I did
sure.
it, but I'm sure people did.
100%, 100% it's fucking fraud.
Coming into the spring, how much work do you guys like to have on the schedule?
All of it.
Yeah, you like to be booked up?
Uh, no, even if I'm booked up, I push my luck and try and still book stuff. Like I never give people exact dates. Yeah, it's a small one. We could probably fit it in here. Then we're rushing, and then I'm pissed off all the time. But we do it anyway because that's part of the game. I don't want anyone else to have it. So I like to be pretty full.
For what, two
I like,
months?
Um, if I'm booked 3 months ahead, I'm happy with that. But we always seem to have holes or something can't get done, so you got to shift stuff around and move people here and there. Like it's 3 months is okay. If I can fill up everything up to about August, then the commercial stuff can take over after that, usually. But I've never had to find work for 9 guys. Just like 2 years ago, I never had to find work for 6 guys, right? So
Right.
it's constantly evolving. Everything's changing. I don't know. Is this something that Leanscaper is going to teach me how to do? Or is it just a systems thing?
In terms of like marketing and getting leads,
I don't know.
I think
You-
it's more so systems. I don't know.
I'm at a weird spot with business though, right? Where I'm not starting off at the beginning.
Hmm.
I have something built here that could potentially take off with the right coaching, I guess that's the word you want to say. Like I'm not starting from ground zero
Yeah,
here, but is that good or is it bad? Like I have a leg up on some of the other guys,
for sure.
but there's also a lot of things that we could have done incorrectly at this point or counterintuitive to their program.
I think that anyone, I think very, here's the thing. If everyone wasn't running counterintuitive to the program wouldn't exist. Like it to think that I don't know if my business is prepared. I don't know if my, you know, if I've been running counterintuitive to the things that they would need. Well, that's their bread and butter, man. It's how they make a fucking living. Finding people that aren't doing or
Finding
do
people
like
like me.
people that made up their own rules and said these are the rules we're going to play by. And they say your rules are great for what you're doing. Your rules are fantastic. You're making tons of money doing what you're doing. They're great rules. But if you want to sell to a private equity firm, you have to play by these rules in order to do that. Everything can't be in your head. The business has to be transferable. There has to be budgets and plans, and because otherwise these private equity firms aren't going to be interested in buying the business because it's not transferable and you can't explain to them how it makes money. Like everything you're doing is fantastic until you want to do this.
Yeah. I'm not
If
opposed
you
to doing what I'm doing, right? But if you see an
what if you did it for 20 years, had enough money in the bank and a cottage, and then just parted out all the like just sold off all the pieces in an auction?
sure, fine. I had a great time doing it. We still made money, right? Like this whole thing with Leanscaper and selling for 10 million at the end or whatever, we're jumping the point where you're still making lots of money every year running a successful business. Because if you're
Yeah,
not, nobody's going to want to buy it anyway.
that's debatable. A lot of people wanted to buy Amazon when it didn't make any fucking money. Someone has to believe they can take your business and make money with it. The belief in its ability to make money is almost more important than the fact whether or not it actually makes money.
Then they're better off to buy Natural Design right now for $1 million.
Would you sell it for 1 million?
No,
The
The
I'll sell
equipment's
the
worth more
ad.
than the equipment's worth more than $1 million.
Yeah,
What was the chart, Mike, on the revenue versus what you would sell it for?
I can get that. I was gonna say that I bet the first thing that they talk to Chad about is company structure. So they would look at you at that chart, which I'll get right now, and they would say your next step is to jump into this role and hire this role, this role, this role, which I think would be something like maybe sales or operations manager and so on and so forth there. But I bet that's the first thing that they talk to you about
really.
because it's all about getting you
Hunt me
more
out of
so as the
bro.
the leader, the visionary, and to have these roles that you're doing right now and splitting them up so that you're hands off as much as possible.
You're saying that more than likely, Mike, they wouldn't want me to shovel off the trailer this afternoon. They'd probably want me to have someone for that role. For the record, I do have people for that. Lots of anyone that works with us would be happy to do it if I asked them. I just don't like asking them. I'd rather just do it myself.
Yeah, I'd rather get in the
Which is a horrible trait if you want to grow a big company. Trying to just do it all yourself and not ask anyone to do anything.
Imagine Jeff Bezos dropping off your creatine supplement
Jeff,
straight to your
Jeff
house.
Bezos jumping in a white van and fucking heading out to drop off
Yeah,
packages. Yeah,
yeah.
and that's his ability to not his ability to find self-worth and self-value in not being the one that delivers the packages is part of what put him where he is. If I'm not shoveling the trailer off myself and fucking around in the yard trying to get some stupid ass Dodge Challenger out from in front of our floats and then plowing the yard and scraping the ice down to the gravel so we can all get, like, if I'm not doing those things, I'm not happy. And I like being I struggle so much with going from being unhappy to happy like 300 times a day that if I'm doing something that doesn't make me happy, it's really easy for me to just be unhappy all the time, every day, 24/7. So I go and do these things because going to the bank made me really unhappy. I hate that stuff. It just makes me feel incompetent and like it reminds me of like feeling like I'm a loser in high school when I go to the bank. Like I'm the person the bankers are stuffing in the locker and laughing at. Look at that guy. What a goof. He doesn't know what an AR is or whatever the fuck these things they're talking about are. Which I'm not saying the people at the bank that we deal with are incredibly nice and I've never been treated like that. It's my own problem, not theirs. They have never talked down to me or talked to me like I'm an idiot. And the guy that we deal with at the bank is absolutely incredible guy. That's my own personal problems, but it's like it's horrible. Like I'll never be Bezos. That's okay.
I don't think any of us will, but that's okay. Maybe Mike might be with the software, but
Things just have to be things just have I guess you have to, like, for me, I just trying to stay happy, I guess.
hmm,
I don't know. Spend a lot of time not being happy with myself. So
I'm pretty.
I still spend an infinite amount of time being disappointed and unhappy with myself. So if I can find shoveling a trailer off or plowing the yard or figuring out how to get a Dodge Challenger unstuck from just sitting on the snow. It's not in the snow, it's just sitting on it. Those kind of things make me happy, I guess.
I'm a pretty happy guy. I wake up every morning pretty happy, go to bed happy. It's all the shit in between that gets me going.